Hi, welcome to the next video log from Kokoro. In the last one, or in fact the first one, Jack was talking about a particular technique that was used in a video that he uploaded, and in fact I'd used a very similar technique in a piece that we did an arrangement of, a traditional Japanese piece called Sakura, which is a cherry blossom. And it involved playing several different finger strokes on the same note and the same string. Something which in classical terms is called a tremolo technique. He said that I was going to expand on that technique a bit more, so thanks for that. Essentially I'm just going to cover quickly the difference between the two styles of tremolo that we use in our music. One is classical and one is flamenco. Most people looking at them or listening to them wouldn't know the difference between them, but there is quite a marked difference. So we have, for example, so the thumb plays the bass note and followed by 3 treble notes by 3 individual fingers, and it's always done in that order. So P, which is the thumb, A, the ring finger, M, middle finger, and I, the index finger. P, A, M, I. And what happens is normally you continue that repeated refrain on one string, and the bass notes change to frame it and give it some kind of structure. And you just basically keep repeating that, and lots of practice, because as we all know in the guitar world, there's no shortcuts. Hours and hours and hours of practice until you can gradually speed that up, but making sure that it's even in terms of the strength of the finger movements as well as the speed as well. You hear that quite often in early classical guitar pieces. One of the most famous ones is a piece called Recuerdos de la Alhambra, which means memories of the Alhambra Palace. It's a very well-known tune. It was used as the theme music to an old TV series called Out of Town, presented by an old man called Jack Hargreaves. In a minute I'll play a little excerpt of that so that you can get an idea of what that sounds like when it's up to speed within a piece, and then after that we'll look at how we do that within the flamenco tradition, which is slightly different. In the flamenco tradition, the tremolo technique is slightly different to the classical. In the classical, essentially, we have 4 finger movements within the technique: the P, A, M, I, and then alternating through the bass, as we've said before. With the flamenco one, it adds an extra finger movement into that. So we have P, I, A, M, and I. So we have 5 instead of 4 with the classical one. So. And then we change the bass note again depending on the melody that we're playing. So the result of that is that it's slightly slower than the classical one, but it's a fuller sound because there's that extra finger movement that's added in. And to show you the difference, you've already heard the classical version. I'll play you a short part of a piece from a flamenco form called the Soleares, and there is a tremolo falsetto solo in that, and I'll play that so that you can hear what it sounds like up to speed. But again, as with the classical one, you just got to do that slow, regular practice. Again, it takes quite a while to be able to get that up to speed, but with anything like in the guitar, hours of practice, and eventually it will come, and then you'll be rewarded because the technique will sound exactly right. But like with anything else on guitar, it takes constant practice. Just because you get it doesn't mean then you can think, oh, I'll leave it now, it's done, I've got that sorted. It takes regular practice to keep up to scratch with it. So take it very slow. Make sure that all the finger movements are equal in terms of time and strength, and build it up slowly, bit by bit. Take your time over it, and then eventually the fluency and the speed will come.